Okay, the second topic for tonight is APA format. So part of your ethos, your credibility when writing an academic paper is following the expected format. At Midstate and most undergraduate universities, APA format is used. This requires doing your references page in a certain way, which you already know, but also creating a title page and formatting the body of the paper and any appendices in a certain way, as well as including an abstract. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a student paper from several semesters ago that received a 100. It's almost perfect. It's not absolutely perfect. You'll notice some inconsistencies or errors in format, but for the most part, it follows the format. So as soon as I opened up this paper, the writer has credibility because they have their running head, they have their page number, and I'm going to explain how to do these in a moment, but I just wanted to have you look at a sample paper. They have their title and name, the name of the college, and the date. They have an abstract page, and they still have their correct header and page number. Their paper begins on page 3, and they've retyped the title in the center, and they still have their correct header. They used a 12-point default font. I think I said Times New Roman, but if you're using a Mac, whatever the default font is. They have 1-inch margins. The paper is double-spaced. There's no extra spaces between the paragraphs. At the end of the paper, there is an appendix and also a references page. Now, the references page really is supposed to go before the appendix, so appendices are last. But again, it's almost perfect. You know, each page has the proper header. In the body of the paper, and this isn't really part of APA format, but it is part of the rubric for this paper, the writer has synthesized information from multiple sources within the same paragraph using transition words. So this was just an example of a good paper, and this is in Learning Plan 5, attached above the videos. I've also attached there a template that you can use. I got the template from Microsoft Word, and I took out the things that weren't important to the writing that we are doing for this particular assignment. So there may be some things, if you choose a template in Word, that may be a little bit more complicated than this one. So this tells you exactly what you need to have and where you need to have it. So you could start typing your paper right on top of this. But just know that if you do that, you may be messing up the spacing a little bit. You know, you've got to be aware of if you type something and then you hit enter, it may have added an extra space. You know, if you type your title and hit enter, then it's going to be putting in extra spaces. So if you're using it as a template, you have to be careful and make sure you're using it correctly. So this tells you that on your title page, you need to have the words running head and a colon, and the first 2 or 3 words of your title in all caps. And this is just a way of cataloging the paper when it was handed in print in case pages got separated. The page number should just be a numeral in the upper right of the page. And this is all typed in the header. Centered in the top half of the page, I think the sample paper I was just showing you centers it on the full page, but centered in the top half of the page will be your full title, your name, and the full name of the college. This is Midstate Technical College, and that's one of those areas where you want to make sure you spell college correctly. If you put C-O-L-L-A-G-E, the computer won't pick it up, but it will look really bad on the title page of your paper. If you were going to publish the paper, there's room down here for other notes, but that's something that I took off of the template that we won't need. On the second page, okay, sorry about that. Obviously I did something to the template. So on the second page, you will have not the words running head. You will take those words off. You will only include the shortened version of the title in all caps and the page number. You will center the word abstract, and you will include a summary of the paper, as well as the word keywords in italics, indented 1 tab over, and then 3 words that someone might use to search your paper if it were to be put on the internet or cataloged in a database. So like 3 words that encapsulate the main idea and the supporting points of the paper. We're actually going to practice writing the abstract in class next week, so I'm not going to go over that tonight. You can't really write it until you've written the paper. You can't summarize it until you've written the paper. And there's a pretty easy way to write it once your paper is finished. Your actual paper doesn't start until page 3, so you can see that we still don't have the words running head. We have your shortened version of the title in all caps and the page number. You center the full title of the paper again here to indicate that the paper is starting. You begin with an introduction, use Times New Roman font in 12 point, double space. Don't put extra space between your paragraphs. You do indent your paragraphs. This template also describes how to use headings. You're welcome to use headings if you would like. So you would have a full title and then your introductory paragraph and then a heading for the first section of your paper and then a heading for the second section of your paper. This is such a short paper that the reader doesn't really need headings. 3 pages you can get through without headings. That's really meant for much longer papers. There are even ways to do subheadings, but I think that would be kind of jarring. That would be breaking it up too much for this short of a paper. But sometimes using headings can help the writer to organize his or her thoughts too. So if you would like to use headings, you can do that. So you would just center them and type them in the regular 12-point font like this. There's some more information in the template that you can read that reviews parenthetical documentation. If you do include pictures in your paper, you should wrap the text around your pictures, and the pictures should really be flush with the left margin, just like the text is. So you have that same 1-inch margin all around. And the picture should not be too large. You also could put underneath of them figure 1, and then you have to refer to the picture in the text. So it can't just be hanging out there for us to interpret on our own. You need to synthesize information from that picture into your paper. And then you can cite the website that you got that picture from. If it's not in the Creative Commons, if it's not free for public use, you can cite that on your references page. After that, at the end of your paper, and your paper has to be at least 3 pages, type double space, you will have your references page with the word references centered at the top, and then that corrected working bibliography that you turned into me. So this just reviews some information on the references page. And the only appendix you'll need for this paper, you can call Appendix A. Wow, I just made it disappear. There it is. And that will be your survey or interview questions. So whenever you do primary research, you should include your survey instrument. So if you asked 2 interview questions, I just want you to type a number 1 and a number 2 and type the questions that you asked. You don't need to type any answers. If you asked 5 interview questions, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and type the 5 interview questions that you asked. And you will integrate that. You will synthesize that into your paper. You'll synthesize some of the answers to your interview or survey into the paper. Okay, one thing people often have trouble with is how to create this running head. It's a little tricky in Word because your header on the first page is different than all the other pages. So I'm going to show you how to do that really quickly. So what you're going to do is open up Word and then double click in the header, and there probably are other ways to do this. This is just the way I've always done it. The very first thing you want to do is click different first page. If you don't click that, you're going to get frustrated because every page is going to look the same, and every time you try to correct it, every page is still going to look the same. So make sure you indicate that you're going to have something different on the first page. The next thing I do is insert the page number, and it's supposed to go on the top right. So I'm choosing top of page and the one that shows it on the right. And then you can see the cursor is over there. I just type the words running head and then the shortened version of my paper title, and then I just tab it over the left margin. And there I have my first page. So when I get to my second page, because I clicked different first page, when I click in the header of that second page, there will be nothing there because it knows that I wanted the first page to be different. So now I just need to put in the top right number. And this time I know I don't use the words running head. I only type my running head and tab it over. And there you have it. So again, sometimes that can be a little tough for people, and there probably is an easier way to do it. But that's how I've always done it. Okay. So I think that's it. We will have some paperwork time at the end of class. next session. So you should bring in anything that you have, references page, paragraphs, anything that you formatted, and then I can help you. I can answer individual questions and look over your writing and help you with formatting issues. So you will want to have that correct title page. The abstract page we'll work on in class. The body of your paper, the references page, and then the appendix indicating your survey instrument, all formatted correctly to give you credibility. If you feel like your writing is weak, follow the formatting requirements of the assignment, because that's going to make your writing seem better. It's like dressing up for an interview. So you're delivering what's expected of you in appearance, and that increases your credibility.